Hi, and welcome to Filmmakers Compass Podcast, a show where we talk about movies and more movies. I'm D-Man, joined by CP. And CP, how are you doing today?
Dude, I'm a little bummed about the Bears.
I know.
But I'm freaking psyched about IU, so just, gonna beat you to the shout-out thing here. Congrats to Indiana University and all the fans and alumni on being national champions.
Definitely. Congratulations. You and I actually know a lot of people who attended and are alumni of IU.
Yep.
And I did have in my shout-outs a big shout-out to Drew Knox and my sister, Steph, because they are alumni of IU, and that was pretty exciting. I can't tell you how pumped I was for that Bears game, only to be deflated in the end, but it was still a great game, and the Bears definitely exceeded my expectations on the season.
Yeah, for sure, dude. It was a great game. It was insane. Typical Bears fashion, tried to throw it away, managed to tie it up. The fourth quarter just all fell apart.
And then they finally did throw it away.
Mm-hmm.
Interception, and then marched down the field for a field goal for the win. But I'm very excited about the Bears' future. They did a lot of things this year that have me very pumped for a team that might actually have a Super Bowl window. That's pretty exciting. So on that note, because you already brought up sports, we do got to give a tip of the cap and a shout out to Eric Drucker, whose Broncos beat the Buffalo Bills and proceeded to get their coach fired. Unfortunately, they lost their quarterback, Bo Nix, in the process. So who knows if the Broncos are still primed for a Super Bowl run, but they're only 2 wins away. So, where's Nick Foles? And then to top off the football conversation, I just want to say I cannot believe that Indiana University won a football championship before Notre Dame. So,
Yeah, sorry, man.
I guess I'll just have to sit with that for another 30 years. I don't know. Hopefully, I mean, Notre Dame was in the title game last year, so they weren't that far off.
No. But
maybe they can make an effort. Yeah.
It's more the fact that you're right. Like IU was not in anyone's mind the best team.
I mean, when they started
the state of Indiana.
No, when they started the season, they were the losingest program in NCAA Division I football history. And I mean, they've literally, I think, because they've lost so few games, I don't even know if they've lost that title, but man, they went on a hell of a run. They're undefeated season, Big Ten championship, Heisman Trophy winner, first appearance in the playoff, first playoff win, and now national championship. I mean, if that's not the best season, the best turnaround in football history, I don't know what is. Yeah. But CP, this is a movie podcast, not a sports podcast. So we did have to address a little bit of that up front. I know we were talking fantasy and some different stuff. So even though we could talk about whatever we want, I want to make sure we keep it on topic for the movies. So are you ready?
100%. Let's do this thing.
All right. Well, before we jump into the actual movie discussion, we do have our shout outs. And to continue on top of the sports shout outs, the first up is Ivor, who said, we went a different route watching movies on New Year's. Moana, Del Toro's Frankenstein, Flight Risk, the worst movie I've seen in a while, Wake Up Dead Man, and the best one we saw, Weapons, which I believe you saw in the theaters, correct?
I did see Weapons in the theater, and ironically enough, right now as we're recording, I've been texting Ivor, and he just texted me, and he said, hey, in your 2025 in your episode looking back at the movies in 2025, you guys should have mentioned Weapons. And Ivor, you're totally right. We should have, because definitely one of the better movies I saw.
Well, there we go. I'm honestly shocked. I thought Flight Risk looked amazing. So
apparently it was not good. I did
Mark
not
Wahlberg,
see it myself.
Isn't that Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, directed by Mel Gibson.
Yeah, it looked like, no, I'm just kidding. It looked terrible. I mean, that bald, why'd they even make him bald? Like, what was the point of it? That alone just made it laughable in the trailer. And he
has that accent. He's like, y'all need a pilot.
Yeah. It just, I don't know. Like sometimes those can be fun. Like just a weird sort of little side quest movie where you're like, you know what? I had a good time watching it. Movie sucked, but it was fun. Doesn't sound like Ivor had a very good time. He also mentioned, CP, we have seen Jaws and Empire Strikes Back with a live orchestra. Tonight we are seeing Blade Runner with an orchestra.
Ooh, that's an interest. Okay, I dig that. I have never seen it.
I mean, I would love to go see Blade Runner in the theater. Never done that. Add that to my list in
Neither have I.
2026. Maybe I'll get a
Yeah.
chance to go. But I mean, with an orchestra, obviously Star Wars would be at the top of my list. Probably Jurassic Park. But he already saw Jaws and Empire, so that's a great list. And Blade Runner seems like a good one.
So ironically, earlier this year I went to see oh my
I don't
gosh,
know.
I'm totally spacing. With J.K. Simmons, where he's the drum teacher.
Oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Like with an
I saw
orchestra.
that at a specialty screening where they screened the movie with a Whiplash. That's the name of the movie, Whiplash. I went and saw Whiplash in a theater with an actual orchestra doing the soundtrack and an actual drummer drumming along with Miles Teller. So that was a
Really?
kind of a cool experience because obviously it's a movie about music.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I like that. Ivor does go on to say that, sorry, Dustin, but Thunderbolts was better than F4. I accept that. I think I liked F4 a little bit more. I liked the
You mean
aesthetic of it.
F1?
No, Fantastic Four.
Oh, I thought you meant F1, the racing movie.
No, Fantastic Four. I don't know. I could agree with that. I mean, Thunderbolts, I thought had a better overall theme, and it didn't need to take so much time to establish the characters and stuff. You could jump right into the action a little bit more. I also liked the adventure, sort of them having to save someone in their own mind. It's kind of a cool climax. F4, I mean, I know Galactus was very imposing as sort of a kaiju giant monster, which was fun, but I actually really like the like 60s aesthetic of it all. And I'm excited for where, Fantastic Four was taking
Okay.
us.
I didn't like either movie, so sounds like you
F-
both have terrible taste.
Finally, here we go. Best of 2025 is Sinners, One Battle After Another, Wake Up Dead Man, and Black Bag. So there you go. Thank you, Ivor, for sharing your list. And I'm also really proud of you for not putting weapons on there. So sounds like you might have needed a little addendum there with the text, but pretty cool. Drucker chimed in and said, my wife had a cool theater opportunity. Her best friend is an influencer and was invited to see Wicked 2 at AMC special screening before it released. She said it was an awesome experience. Also, can't wait for X-Men to show up in Marvel now. Magneto is my favorite, of which you responded CP, and I didn't like Drucker's response. No, I'm just kidding. I did. You said, dude, yes, we should do the Dune Day. That is cool. Would love to get early access for more stuff. And Drucker replied, I figured, hi CP, happy it's you responding because D-Man is mid at best. And then he said, JK D-Man, love you too. Really miss the garbage man though. And it was super cool. I tried to sneak into it also, but they wouldn't let me in. So Drucker, I'm glad you didn't get in after that rib. So good luck getting early access to other movies. But at this one, you capped it off with a little bit of love. So I love you too, Drucker. I don't know.
Nice.
CP, you got any final thoughts? I know you were the one responding.
No, would be awesome if Drucker made it out here so we could go to the movies with him.
Maybe a early screening, but we'll see. Then Jeffrey chimed in. He said, hey, Andrea Botez, I know her, LOL. And he said, I know her through streaming, chess, and now her DJ stuff. Don't actually know her, though, of which he got a thumbs up. So, Jeffrey, thank you for sharing. CP, do you want to elaborate on that a little bit or no?
Went to I know I posted about it. Went to the LA premiere of my friend's new documentary about Andrea. Andrea was there, so put up a picture. That was all.
Yeah. Andrea's Gambit, correct? Is the
Yep.
movie. Yeah.
Yep.
And you tagged at Rebecca M. Doyle, who I believe is your friend, I'm assuming.
Yes, she's the director, so congrats. If you get a chance, you should watch the film. It is streaming on both Andrea's YouTube channel and at the Moving Picture Institute's YouTube channel too, and it's pretty cool.
Cool. Well, congrats,
Rebecca did a
Andrea.
great job.
Congrats, Rebecca. And she actually responded. CP Rebecca said, thanks, Christian. So you're getting a lot of love today.
Well, it's because apparently I'm not mid at best.
Ooh, and now we're on to another comment that uh only Asith said, is at NDCal5 ever posting those pictures of his Home Alone pop-up experience like he said he would?
Oh, oh wow.
Called out on air. So
Wow.
CP, did you even go or did you just like look at it on social
Wow,
media?
look
I
at
don't
this
even
guy.
know.
Now I'm getting trolled. Oh my
Hmm.
gosh. Who did this?
Yeah.
Did I actually get called out?
Yeah, you got called out 2 days ago. Yeah.
Okay, first of all, D-Man, it's not, it's a Sith. It's only a Sith, I believe.
Oh, okay. Only a Sith. Yeah, I
A
don't
guy
know.
with a Star Wars hashtag and you got his name wrong.
Only a Sith. At only a Sith. I like that better anyway. That reads way better. Asif.
My
What is an Asif?
I have no idea, but my Sith Lord friend, thank you for calling me out. I'll have to cut that video together and post it ASAP, D man.
Well, on that Star Wars note, at only a Sith, I'm curious if you saw the new Darth Maul trailer. Did you, CP?
Darth Maul? There's a Darth
Yeah.
Maul movie? No, clearly I did not.
It's called Maul Shadow Lord, and it looks promising. It looks like it's in the same vein as the Clone Wars series and maybe the Rebels, although they have a slightly different
Wait,
art
it's like
style.
the animated art style?
Yeah, it's animated, and I believe the voice actor who did
Hmm.
Maul's voice in the Clone Wars and Rebels is going to be returning. It looks kind of promising. I don't know. Disney's been sort of hit or miss on some of their stuff. I think we're going to dive into that a little bit more, CP. And also on that note, uh, um, Karen Gaston, KG, actually responded to a post that I did about Kathleen Kennedy stepping down from Lucasfilm, which is pretty impressive, considering all the calls for her to be fired for the past 12 years. Sorry, Kathleen Kennedy. I actually chimed in and I said, hey, I'm pretty grateful for the effort that Kathleen Kennedy has made on behalf of Lucasfilm and us Star Wars fans. I thought we got some pretty great stuff. And KG said, absolutely agree 100 with everything you said. Well stated, Dustin. We too have loved The Mandalorian and especially Andor. It was fantastic. Nice to know it had the right kind of support from the top, of which I totally agree. And we're going to talk about it, CP.
D-Man, why are you like so nice? Like, oh, I'm so happy. Like, we got good stuff. Why don't you be like a little more critical?
Well, here's the thing.
No, dude, you don't have to be nice to everybody.
I'm gonna explain to you exactly what you just asked me when we get into our topics this week. So finally at Boone, Eric shared with us the Masters of the Universe trailer. So thank you, Boone, for shooting that over and sharing with me. I did watch it. CP, did you watch that trailer?
I did watch it.
Okay, what are your thoughts?
Hated it. Hated everything about it.
Well, Boone's thoughts were this is all your fault Dungeons and Dragons movie. Kind of get it. Aesthetically, it kind of looks like that. I'm not gonna lie, watching the trailer, it reminded me a little bit of Thor Ragnarok. Some of the set pieces and the quippy dialogue and some of the stuff. It had like a, I don't know, it reminded me of Thor.
I just the like it feels like a Masters of the Universe movie written and directed by someone who has never seen Masters of the Universe, for one. I didn't like the aesthetic. I didn't like the visual style. I don't know.
I
The
did.
trailer like was completely devoid of any sort of emotion and excitement. I was like, this is so boring.
Well, here's the thing. I was reading some of the comments on YouTube, and some of the people thought they were maybe doing a little bit of like a Barbie thing for like Masters of the Universe.
Like the toy goes into the real world.
No, not even the toy. It was like they're just doing like, I don't know, something similar to that. At least that was people's fear, you know.
Looks dumb. I'm
I
really
think what
bummed.
people want is something serious. They want something representative of the adventures they had with their action figures and the 80s cartoon and how awesome it was when he just yells, "I have the power."
I know, and that sucked. By the way, that's how they end the trailer, and I was like, this isn't cool. Like that should have been like a fist pump moment. Like when when Prince Adam holds up the sword and echoes the call. I want to be like, yes, I'm there. And instead I'm like, yep, not even gonna set a reminder in my A list right now.
Well, we have seen a little resurgence, at least with Masters of the Universe and He-Man. They had that updated cartoon version, and the old one has actually had a little bit of resurgence on streaming, which is kind of cool. Who was that?
Hmm.
Dolph Lundgren? Is that who played
In the
Prince
movie,
Adam? Yeah.
yeah, Dolph
Okay.
Lundgren.
Yeah. Okay. Well, finally, just a couple happy birthday shout outs. Happy birthday to Joe Soto. Happy birthday to Miguel. Hope you guys both have a fantastic birthday. Kathleen Donnellan Mayer. And finally, Cynthia, I hope you all have a fantastic birthday. So, and then CP, I have to end it with a very special birthday shout out to my grandma who does not listen, but I got to
We
give
could
you a
change
shout out
that.
anyway. She's turning 90.
Oh, that's cool.
So happy
How
birthday.
exciting.
I'll call her tomorrow.
You should.
Yeah, definitely will. 90's quite impressive. So, all right. Well, that does it for our shout outs this week. It was kind of long because we've been on a little bit of a break here since the holidays. And I'm excited because we're back and we're podcasting every week. And get ready for some incoming Instagram content. That should be fun. So we're going to be sharing a little bit more, trying to up our game this year. We want to be better than 2025.
Well, that's always worthwhile.
All right. Well, now it's time for our box office breakdown.
Awesome. Thank you, D-Man. This past weekend was a 3-day weekend because of Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. So, um, that probably affected the box office a little teeny bit. So, number 5,
Okay.
Marty Supreme. Have you seen it?
I haven't, although we've talked about it and you said it was really good.
It definitely was.
I've heard good things. Everybody's speaking very
Mm-hmm.
highly of it.
Mm-hmm. Number 4, The Housemaid.
Ah, not going.
I actually might tonight, so we will see. Maybe
How
I'll
many
post
movies
about
have
it.
you seen since 2026 started? I bet you've been
I
going
think
to the
I've
theater.
been like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, you're knocking it out of the park again.
Trying to. Lots to see. Number 3, Zootopia, which obviously has made a killing for Disney so far.
Yep. Well done, Disney. I mean, and now if the like we always say, the second one does well, now you got a franchise. They're gonna make a third one. You know it.
$1.7 billion so far.
Jesus. And there's just no competition.
I know, and that's the insane thing. Number 2, this was its opening weekend. 28 years later, The Bone Temple.
I know you said you didn't like the one that came out in 2025. There was not enough noise for this movie. I didn't see enough marketing to really get me excited for it.
I was kind of shocked. I guess when 28 years later was greenlit at the time, they greenlit an entire trilogy for Danny Boyle.
Hmm.
And this is where he's taking the story. Uh, did you see 28 years later?
No, I wasn't really interested. My assessment of the trailer was that it didn't have the sort of found footage, empty space vibe that sort of the original had, which was what I liked about it in the first place. This just looked more like regular zombie fare to me.
Well, I remember being really disappointed for two things. First of all, the style and um, the visual aesthetic of the film, I felt did not match the tone of the movie,
Okay.
which made it distracting when I watched. The other problem that I had was considering this is the story of essentially, you know, uh, the British Isles being locked off from the rest of the world for almost, 3 decades, and how has the world changed and what's it like for the people there? It did not seem to explore that as I felt like it really could have. I thought it was an opportunity to tell a really interesting
Yeah.
story, and it just felt far too safe. And I was really disappointed. And I remember when it ended, not in any way wanting to continue exploring that world. So I know that, I mean, I saw a trailer, I think, for the Bone Temple, and I was like, nope, I'm not in any way. Don't care.
Bummer. Because, I mean, not that I hate to see the franchise die, but I mean, it does seem like the studio probably is getting that vibe from social listening and just focus groups and stuff where it just didn't seem like they put a lot of marketing behind it.
Yeah, so that was weird. And then number 1 in the box office, what has been for a little while here, Avatar Fire and Ash, which has made over $1.3 billion. So good for Disney. Finished the year strong with 2 movies Each have made over $1 billion.
That's pretty nuts.
Yeah, really is.
Well done, Disney. Congrats.
So
So,
there you go. That is the box office for this past weekend, D-Man.
all right. Well, I mean, not much is a huge surprise there. Avatar, of course, is going to have major staying power. Zootopia is. It's not a ton of competition for those two films right now. And if you look outward at the lineup for 2026, which is actually incredibly strong, CP, they're going to have a little bit of a run here in January too, before the new slate really kicks in.
Yep, I think you're right. I think
So
you're right.
the box office breakdown may be a little repetitive here for a sec, but then 2026 we're gonna, ignite a firecracker. It's gonna be
Yep.
awesome.
Yes,
So,
sir.
well, all right. The big news, and this kind of got addressed in the shout outs of this past sort of week and a half, is that Kathleen Kennedy stepped down from Lucasfilm as the CEO and I believe the chairman. I don't know if that means she's retiring or she's going to move on to other projects, but she is no longer in charge of Star Wars and more specifically Disney Star Wars. So, CP, we have a couple things to talk about.
All
One,
right.
Dave Filoni is taking over sort of the creative aspects and leadership of Lucasfilm and therefore Star Wars. And they appointed, I believe, somebody to co-run Lucasfilm with him who's going to be doing the numbers, finance, and other elements on that side. So he's in charge of the creative, which is really what we're talking about here.
Hmm.
So, one of the things that I'm sure you probably saw and I addressed in my video on Instagram was that Kathleen Kennedy stepping down was met with celebration. Fans
Hmm.
everywhere were sharing memes of crowds cheering. I think even you tagged me in a post. It was the end of The Phantom Menace when everybody's, celebrating that Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down. And I don't know, man. It kind of bummed me out a little bit because it's such a dismissal and a slap in the face to me for all the good, positive things that she also did as the CEO of Lucasfilm over the last like 12 years. So I don't know. Like, to me, I said it in my video. I loved Andor. I love The Mandalorian. Force Awakens was fun. Solo was fun. Rogue One was awesome. We even got some of the coolest like theme park experiences. They literally built a new Star Wars land at Disneyland and Disney World. Where literally they have one of my favorite rides, Rise of the Resistance. And then they have a ride where you get to fly the Millennium Falcon. And if you're lucky like me and you get to be one of the pilots, you literally get to pull a lever and go to light speed, which is like a childhood dream. It was amazing. So I don't know, man. I think when something like Andor comes out and you raise the bar for what people expect from a franchise because you're like, wow, that was so good. I personally hate seeing the freaking comments where people are like, oh, so now we know what they can do. And they better not do anything lower than this bar. And like to me, it's like, if only every franchise just hit banger after banger and box office, success. But that's just not how shit works. Like, what do you think? Like, look at Marvel, look at DC. Like, they can't all be
Okay.
freaking amazing.
Respectfully, that's all bullcrap. That's all bullcrap, and that's a stupid argument. Okay. So Disney spent $8 billion acquiring Star Wars.
4 billion.
With inflation, it's like equivalent of like 8 billion. Whatever. The point is, if you're going to spend that much money on something, of course you're going to find a way to integrate it into what you may consider your most valuable asset, right? Your
Their
theme
theme
parks.
Yeah.
I mean, they made a killing off of that in terms of, branding Star Wars merchandising. But I think that this is my thing. You're talking about all the great things that we got.
Yes.
But what I heard you say is Andor, which you have told me time and time again is one of your favorite pieces of media content altogether.
I
So
love it.
let's throw that out there because that's like Star Wars Breaking Bad caliber television,
Yeah, it was awesome.
right? That's not just anyone makes that show and throws it out there. You really love that. So we exclude that. Okay. It sounds like the rest of it is just mediocre because I think you yourself would agree based off conversations we've had. The Mandalorian, while fun,
Awesome.
is it, but I mean, I think part of the reason why people like The Mandalorian is you see a bunch of crappy Star Wars movies, and then you get a Mandalorian, which is better than everything else, and people are like, yes, that's what we wanted.
So you're implying that by lowering the bar with their crappy sequel trilogy, people were just happy to get anything that resembled the
Well,
Star
yeah,
Wars
and
they wanted.
you compare the Mandalorian to the Acolyte, and obviously people, the Mandalorian is incredible. But my argument is, I don't know that the Mandalorian
Yeah.
itself is the greatest piece of Star Wars content. It's not.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, we've talked a little bit before, but not really in depth about The Mandalorian. But I mean, it does have a lot of sort of side quests, or I don't want to call them filler episodes. But I remember like in season one telling somebody, I was like, the episodes you need to watch are like 1, 3, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
But I was like, you could technically skip the other episodes in the middle and you really wouldn't miss anything. Like, you know, it's like the ship flies in, the Razor Crest flies on, into the frame, and then they're going down to a planet. And Mando's like, we need to go refuel. And then they go down and they do a side quest when they're on this planet. They get the fuel they need. And then the episode ends with them taking off and flying out of frame. Where you're like, if I never saw that, you just pick up with him flying somewhere. Like getting fuel didn't really matter at all in terms of, it's like me telling you about my road trip and I told you every single thing that happened. You're like, no, tell me the highlights. Tell me what happened. Not this is when I took a nap
And then I went to Bucky's. Yeah, that's like, who cares?
yeah, and it kind of has a little bit of that vibe sometimes where like some of the episodes are filler, but the highs are really high. I think the old school like Western gunslinger vibe was awesome. The episodes that are filler also do a little bit of heavy lifting for world building and sort of making Star Wars feel a little bit bigger than simply the places you go for the, main story. But unfortunately, I feel like because the bar for television as a whole has risen, filler episodes and side quests feel more like a cartoon thing now. If you're doing live action, like we want the main story to be a part of every single episode, especially when seasons aren't, 24 episodes.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm not trying to like, and for everyone listening, I'm not trying to like shat all over the Mandalorian. In fact,
which is awesome. I love
Dustin will know, that's the only piece of new Star Wars content that I've actually like watched. Now, my problem is this though. You're like, oh, hey, we got all this stuff. But I'm like, yeah, but Kathleen Kennedy didn't do her basic job. She couldn't produce a film trilogy that actually had like a cohesive plot where apparently you let writers and directors, you gave them millions of dollars to make a film trilogy and none of them spoke to each other. That's like producing 101. Do your fucking job. If you're going to oversee a trilogy, make sure that like there's a cohesive thread and it makes sense. That's disrespectful to Star Wars fans.
It was, and people took it that way. I mean, she's essentially in the role of like, if Disney's the one writing the checks and Bob Iger's the CEO of Disney, he's not involved with the creative decisions. She's essentially in the Kevin Feige role from Marvel for Star Wars. She's supposed to be overseeing this general cohesive vision. And the sequel trilogy is sort of emblematic of Disney Star Wars overall, where it just didn't feel like they had a large cohesive vision for what they wanted all of this stuff, whether it's the theme park land, Galaxy's Edge or whatever, whether it's the sequel trilogy or their Disney Plus shows. They just don't seem like they're all linked. They're all synced in this general Star Wars narrative. You have some taking place at this time, some taking place at this other time. And it just, even Andor, for as good as it was, I remember when that was announced, people were like, what the hell? His story's done at the end of Rogue One. Like, why are we getting a prequel, right, with Andor? Like, what?
Well, and I think, and I mean, unfortunately, Star Wars fans are probably one of the worst types of fandom in the sense that the perfect is always the enemy of the good for them.
I feel like Michael Jordan right now. I took that shit personally.
Right? Like they're never ever going to like nothing is ever as good as the original trilogy in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right? So much so that they despise the creator because, when he created the prequel trilogy it was not as good as the original trilogy.
That's
you
one of the
compare
reasons
to like Harry Potter fandom or Twilight or like these other ones where they're like, hey, we got more stuff. Like, awesome. Right.
that's one of the reasons why I think if I go back, and you could definitely vouch for me here on this, but like if I went back to when The Force Awakens came out and how excited and how happy people were to see Star Wars on the big screen again. I remember people were coming out of that theater and they were describing their experience like that was the best Star Wars movie I've ever seen. And me being like a huge Star Wars fan, I was like, yes, I had a great time. It was a great experience. But the movie itself, I remember telling you, I was like, it's not that great. It's very derivative of A New Hope. And I remember, like, do you remember this? I think I told you, I was like 10 years from now, and we're there now. That was 2015. I was like 10 years from now, this movie will not be remembered as fondly as people are talking about it walking out of the theater. There is no way. It's not that good. And where are we? Do you remember that?
I remember. I called you. I called you right after you saw the movie because I was like, I gotta know. Like maybe my assumptions of Disney Star Wars are wrong and you're going to change my mind.
Well, I mean, if we go back then all the way to like whatever it was, 2012, whenever Lucasfilm bought or whenever Disney bought Lucasfilm and Star Wars, I mean, you were sort of the pessimist. I was the optimist, right? I was sort of like, hey, who knows? Disney could tell all different kinds of stories. They could create a shared universe like Marvel, which at that time was literally at maybe even close to its zenith right after Avengers. Like it seemed like the possibilities were endless for me. So I was optimistic that they would do new things and tread new ground. You were more pessimistic. I mean, what do you think, like based on, you go back 10, 12 years now, do you think it ended up playing out the way you predicted?
I mean, it feels like it to me in the sense that we didn't really get any Star Wars content that was truly amazing that, I mean, obviously some fans liked The Mandalorian, some fans really liked Andor, but that's kind of it. Most of the other stuff was very mid, and overwhelmingly, it seems like fans have been frustrated with the way content's rolled out, with some of the casting decisions, and with the final product of most of these things. It seems like overwhelmingly something Star Wars comes out and Star Wars fans are pissed off about it.
Well, there's also the fact that, I mean, I guess when you talk about the overall quality of Star Wars, right? George Lucas, even if you didn't really love the prequel trilogy, because it was very different, both in visuals, like storytelling language, and like the story itself, because they're dealing instead of with like, this ragtag group of rebels, they're dealing like with this like high priestess Jedi order and the Senate and politics, like very different. And even if you didn't like the prequel trilogy, one thing you couldn't take away from George Lucas was that all six were epic. They all had a very grand sense of scale. And he was pushing the boundaries always with special effects and doing all this stuff. And I'm not saying that Star Wars has abandoned that, but some of the stories do feel a little lesser than, like, not necessarily grand in scale the way I think Star Wars had always been perceived. And in a lot of ways, even though I'm saying complimentary things about Kathleen Kennedy, because I do like some of the stuff that we got over these last 12 years, I don't know if the quality of Star Wars has ever been lower.
Well, that's what I think. I mean, and I guess I look at it from the perspective of, again, what was Kathleen Kennedy's job, right? If we compare her to her counterpart, Kevin Feige, who, and I know Marvel's not where it was, but I think Kevin Feige did two things really, really well. Three things really, really well. For one, he made sure that the MCU had a cohesive feel and visual style, right? Yeah. While he gave directors freedom within it, they had to understand the look of the MCU, visual effects, color palette, opening titles. And Kathleen Kennedy never did that. And one of your biggest criticisms you've always said is that all the new Star Wars, apart from the visual languages being different, like, right, the shot selection in The Force Awakens is not consistent with the 6 Lucas movies.
Yes.
Or the fact that in Rogue One, they have titles and planet names, which is not consistent. She should be making sure that there is consistency amongst the Star Wars universe. First failure.
As a fan, I agree. I agree with that. I remember watching Rogue One, a movie which I actually really enjoy. And noting when I left as a fan, I was like, Star Wars doesn't put planet titles. It just doesn't do it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
part of the visual language of Star Wars. So it's incredibly jarring to me that, on one hand, I'm like, this movie was great, but I'm also like, they're betraying some of the visual language that's associated with the first six that George
Mm-hmm.
Lucas built. He just doesn't do that. The only text you see on screen is the opening crawl, which is an homage to serials that George Lucas used to love as a kid. But he just didn't add
Mm-hmm.
titles. And I hate that. Or I remember, Force Awakens used lens flares and sort of
Yep.
these more, I don't want to call it, because
Kinetic
George Lucas,
shots.
yeah, he had camera movement and stuff, but like it just felt like George Lucas used traditional sort of filmmaking, film school style filmmaking, establishing shot. He had all the shots that he needed, and it was edited with a great pace, but that you weren't seeing like cameras zipping around or doing 360s around, Luke Skywalker when he's standing on this cliff. Or I'm like, George Lucas just wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And let's face it, George Lucas, even though other directors, Richard Marquand and what's his name did
Irving Kershner.
Irving Kershner did Empire Strikes Back, they all sort of spoke the language that Lucas established with A New Hope.
Yeah.
And he extended with the prequel trilogy. And so, Star Wars is known for George Lucas is known for transitions, wipes,
Mm-hmm.
zooms. He does all these things. I'm like, I don't know. It's just, to me, that's part of the language. But I mean, I could probably go on with examples forever.
No, but the
So
point is, it's totally wrong, and her job was to make sure there was consistency. Two, another thing that Kevin Feige did really, really well is he said we have this plethora of amazing Marvel storylines that we can now adapt to the screen. It doesn't have to be beat for beat the same story, but we can take these arcs and apply them to the cinematic stories that we're telling. I think that was really smart. It seems like Kathleen Kennedy's approach was just to say, scrap everything that's done and we're starting over. And the problem was starting over, not only was it again disrespectful to the fans, but in starting over, they had no idea of what this world they were building was. You know?
yeah. So I have one sort of, I agree with you, and then I have also sort of a disagreement, which is a lot of the extended universe, and then after they sort of sunset the extended universe in with Disney Star Wars, it was called Legends. I think one of the issues they did run into was that the extended universe had a lot of Luke, Han, and Leia, which the actors themselves were just really old. So I think one of the things, I agree with you that there's stories in there, Thrawn, uh, the Yuzong Vong, there's things we've talked about these on the podcast. You just may not have your straight heroes be Luke, Han, and Leia anymore. You might have to adapt them to either some new characters or some characters that show up and maybe have a more prominent role in the movie version, simply because Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford just aren't of age that they would need to be to really tell those stories.
Well, and I guess I would answer with, there's two ways you can do this. You can do it the Indiana Jones way, where we keep Harrison Ford as the only Indiana Jones we've ever had, which I think is a failure.
Yeah.
Or you do it the James Bond way, where you say, hey, this is new Star Wars. We can take the creative freedom to recast these main characters that people know.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they've cast a younger version of Han Solo and Lando Calrissian. You could have just recast everyone and said, hey, this is just the approach that we're doing, to keep telling these stories with these characters that people know, these characters who are bigger than the individual actor. We're going to recast them and push forward. And that would have been a choice. And obviously, you would have had pushback from Star Wars fans, but it
Yeah.
would have allowed you to. I just think it's ironic. In one hand, they want to keep tying everything back to the Skywalkers, right?
Yeah.
But without giving them the freedom to actually push those stories in a way that fans, I think, would want to see.
Yeah, and I don't think we need these digital deepfakes, that we did get in Mandalorian, even though that worked out great. I don't think you need that. I think if you're going to move forward, just recast, and then you have a new set of actors that are going to tell the, extended universe stories. It could have
Mm-hmm.
been really great. And you could have kept the core cast, Luke, Han, Leia, Chewie, R2, and 3PO. and started there, and you recast the core trio, and then you could have had some fun with it. I don't know. Who knows what we would have got, but instead they went with the older actors returning in the sequel trilogy rather than recasting, and to middling results to garbage.
Exactly. And then I think the final thing is there's been this over reliance on kind of fan service cameos of characters. But again, the Star Wars universe is so vast that I don't think fans opposed or are opposed to new characters. And if you're going to keep giving these fan service ones, then why do you keep selecting from the same group of 25 characters over and over?
Yeah.
The universe is so massive and there's so many throughout the history of the Star Wars universe and the different elements. It would be fun to take characters that people know from the Star Wars lore who maybe they haven't seen on film yet.
Right. Well, that's really where it falls is I think, at this point, overall, the fans are happy. They were celebrating online. Dave Filoni has, he's a giant fanboy and loves Star Wars. So I think people feel like we're in good hands, even though I've seen some criticism that, Dave Filoni maybe is too reliant on Ahsoka and some of the characters he
Yep.
created in Clone Wars, as well as he's known mostly for television and not grand epic scale
Yep.
films. So there's a little hesitancy about whether he can deliver on that scale. The first being Mandalorian and Grogu, it's a adaptation of a television show adapted to a movie. People are worried that it's not going to have the grand scale that Star Wars deserves on the big screen. That it's
Mm-hmm.
just going to be a sort of fun toss away adventure, and then that's that. It'll look just like the TV show.
Yep.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like I said, my only thing was to fans, even though there probably was more bad than good, there was some good. So I want to be the optimist and just take away from that hey, we did get some fun stuff. So, and I love Star Wars. I watched all the bad stuff too. Um, it's just one of those things where we'll see what the next CEO does. So good luck, Dave Filoni. But on that note, I'm going to throw it over to you too as well, because one of the things that we both finally had the chance to do was watch the number one movie in America, Avatar: Fire and Ash.
Ooh. Yes, sir.
So I wanted to throw it over to you and see what your thoughts were on that movie, because I know I have mine, and we sort of talked about it before we both got a chance to see it. For everybody listening that hasn't either seen it in the theaters or isn't even interested, I mean, is it worth it?
I mean, yes, I think that it is. For one, um, whether you're a fan of the Avatar stories or not, James Cameron is making these as films to be consumed, at a massive scale. And I think you're doing yourself a disservice by not going to see it in the theaters when that is really what it's created for. I mean, I went and saw it in 3D, and I think 3D is a gimmick. But again, like with the other two Avatar movies, I enjoyed seeing it in 3D because, you know, that's what it's made for.
Yeah, I saw it in 3D and Screen X. So it was a lot of fun. It had the scale that the other two Avatar movies are known for, that the franchise delivers. They're really known as theater experiences, despite doing really well on Disney Plus to the lead up to Avatar: Fire and Ash. I mean, they
Hmm.
really are known for theater experiences. And that's where I think this movie definitely succeeds. I think it's worthy of going to the theater to see it. It's worthy to see it in 3D, which is actually pretty crazy these days because most movies really not so much.
Hmm.
Um, the only thing with the 3D is that I feel the novelty has worn off a little bit, where with the original Avatar, it really did feel like you were experiencing something new and 3D the way it was supposed to be. But now it feels more complimentary than it does like necessary, because also I feel like unless they're really going to explore new areas of Pandora, the novelty of 3D was when he went into his avatar and he was out on Pandora. It made the world itself feel so real. So I'm trying to think of the word. Not, it doesn't matter. Just awesome.
Yeah.
And that novelty is wearing off a little bit because I think the things that really drag down Avatar Fire and Ash are that it feels a lot like a remix of 1 and 2. Like
Yeah.
if I was telling somebody that hasn't seen Avatar Fire and Ash, if they're asking, will I like it? And I'd be like, if you like the first two, then definitely you're going to love it. It has all the elements that the first two, definitely succeeded at. But instead of introducing new things and really taking Avatar in different directions, I feel like they just remix the things that were great from 1 and 2, and you get a lot more of that in 3. So that hurts the 3D experience to me, and that hurts the overall storytelling because honestly, it feels a little repetitive at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
So like a lot of the battles, like they're still it's the military versus the Na'vi, and they're on their flying dragons and they're in their military crafts, and you have bow and arrows and guns. It's like the same thing again. Oh, okay, some whales showed up or something. But I'm like, generally, like they haven't changed. You have to like switch things up. You have to change locales. Think about Star Wars. They go from desert planets and the Death Star to snow planets and a cloud city. Like they're changing the locations, but location's just location. Like I don't know, you got to keep things fresh, or you have to change the weapons that each side is using. Maybe the military, if you're going to keep the villain the military, maybe they have some new sort of weapon that totally dominates the Na'vi. They figured out how to take advantage of their weaknesses. And now it's like, oh my God, it's such an uphill battle for the Na'vi to fight these guys. Something has to change. Or I don't care. Go fight in a volcano. Send the Na'vi to space. Have them commandeer a spacecraft and go up. And then maybe there's a space station above Pandora. I don't fucking know. Do something different.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Or another thing that blows my mind is at this point, I mean, the concept of avatars. Like, let's get more freaking avatars. Like the whole idea was that, like you plug into a video game or plug into the Matrix, that these humans could take over avatar bodies and then go out without any of the, breathing apparatuses and masks and everything. And they could go out into Pandora and infiltrate, the Na'vi.
Yep.
Yeah. Where the hell is all that? Everybody that's like a Na'vi that was a human is just like transported their consciousness forever into a Na'vi. I'm like, then you're just one of them. Whatever, dude. Like, what about the concept? Or like, is it possible to do like reverse avatar? Like, could a Na'vi go into a human body? I don't know. Do something else.
I mean, I think you do bring up a good point, because one of the central plot elements of the first movie is totally abandoned this far in, right?
Yeah.
And that was a unique thing. It was about, hey, this is how we engage with this world that people can't live in, right?
Yeah.
And it's weird that they kind of abandon that. I mean, I think the bigger thing is, visually we're in the same place, which, I mean, Pandora is interesting enough that I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think the thing that really bothered me was from the story perspective, we don't take these characters anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Just, and I'll try and do this without spoiling it if anyone hasn't seen it, but
just spoil it.
All right, screw it. We're going to spoil it. Jake is still dealing with the grief, is grieving the loss of his oldest son from Way of Water.
Yeah.
And the entire movie, there's this tension between him and his son, who he thinks, led to the death of his other son. And he hasn't forgiven him. And he can't trust him. And I think that's a really complex theme to explore. And instead of actually exploring it, they just all of a sudden, he goes from not trusting him to essentially they're in the final battle and he's like, hey, you're my wingman. I trust you. And that's so unearned. I mean, I know he went and got the whales or whatever, but like the son didn't earn the respect of his father. And Jake couldn't get out of his own way to see the fact that his son was, upholding all the things that that
they're
Jake
mantras.
Preaches. They're right. So I thought that was a waste. The other thing is, I think the villain of Colonel Quaritch is put in a really interesting position in the sense that, okay, now he is quote unquote dead, right? These are his memories from before he died inhabiting this Navi body that was created for him. And even though throughout the movie he becomes more and more Navi, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't truly have to deal with the fact that whether he likes it or not, he's no longer a human military officer. He's something else. And he also is something who, right, he's walking memories of someone who is dead, who he
Right.
is not. And I think that in terms of identity, and Jake many times kind of pushes him to lean into this fact that he's like, hey, you're not that guy anymore. You have this new eyes in this new world. Like, use them to see. And that character of Colonel Quaritch never does that. And I think that that is such a mistake. If he'd actually been forced to deal with some of these things, and his relationship with a human son that
Spider.
is right, Spider is a human who's becoming more Navi as he raised by them. Yet I feel like there's so much potential that's just never explored because Cameron doesn't give these characters the time to just sit with their own thoughts.
Yeah, there's two scenes that really come to mind about Colonel Quaritch, which one is he actually helps them escape because he really does care for his son, even if, he's not explicitly saying that. And in helping them escape, it seems like he might have to stay with the Sullys, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it seemed like there might be some tension there. And instead of that, they end up just having him disappear. And then he just shows up as the villain again, just his same villainous self. And then there's another scene where they capture Spider and he goes and sort of talks to him and is like, I'm here for you, whatever. But they don't really deal with the idea that, like, is he really his dad
Yeah.
at all, even genetically? Like, I don't know. Because it's
Yeah.
just memories. You're like, I don't know. He feels that way. That's kind of a weird place to be. Like, I love one of my favorite relationships is in Terminator 2. Like, you have Sarah Connor commenting on John's relationship with the Terminator, where she's like, they love each other. Like, John sees the Terminator as a father figure, even though he's a robot, even though he's synthetic, it's real. It really happened. And so you're like, well, what does that mean? Like, could that actually be something that is a real relationship, or is it all just fake? And by the end, she shakes hands with the Terminator and realizes that, like, yeah, you can have a relationship with these robots.
Well, I mean, it's ironic that you bring that up too, right? Because that is a you're comparing one James Cameron story and relationship to another, and in one example, it's executed perfectly
Yeah.
with the complexity and weight that it should, and the other, it's just a half-hearted version. I mean, I as you were talking about the scene with Jake and Quaritch, I mean, really, I think the mold for who Quaritch should be at this point is like a Vegeta character,
Yeah,
right?
that'd be cool.
We
Yeah.
should see him having to team up with Sully, Jake, but it's like, but can we ever really
Reluctantly.
trust him? There's
Yeah.
this reluctant, there's this despise for one another, but
And
they
he'll
know that
turn on him.
yeah,
Yeah,
but they
it
know that they depend on each other.
would have been cool, especially because I think there is an acknowledgement. And if Cameron had done this, the Colonel Quaritch that is the Navi guy is not the human guy. He has his memories and different things, but he could become something else.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't explore it. So I
No.
don't know.
And I think that's the thing. I'm just like, man, there's so many good pieces here to work with, and it just felt like they took the incredibly super safe route, which is nope, let's go save the whales and fight the army again, which we've
Well,
seen.
and then another thing was, I mean, it's called Fire and Ash, and there's like the fire people, but it didn't feel like they were different enough to,
Yeah,
like, and they there's like a volcano in one shot. Like, they never go to that volcano, at least in Way of Water. Like, they spend a lot of time in the water,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
No, no, I'm with you. It's like, hey, this should be. If we're gonna find out that there's other bad Navi, like let's spend time with them. Let's make them more interesting than
And
just
why are
like,
they bad? And what do they want? And, they
yep,
just, I don't know. They're just sort of like another tribe that doesn't like these ones. They don't really say why. So they're like, oh, we'll team with the bad guys. And you're like, I guess. And then I was also wondering, like, what other things could you do with Avatar besides like military versus Na'vi? I mean, that seems played out at this point.
Yeah, right.
I mean, like I said, they're not even introducing like new weapons. Like the military's not learning from this, or the very concept of avatars. Like, why isn't the military out there like killing Na'vi so they can revive them into Avatar soldiers for all? Like, I don't know. There's
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
so much you could do. And then my last two thoughts on this movie were really, I felt it was long. I know you sort of disagreed. 3 hours and 15 minutes felt long to me.
I mean, I guess for me, considering that there's a lot of shorter movies that I find myself checking my phone in, and I watched this and I was like, hey, I knew it was going to be long. It's an Avatar movie, but it didn't feel nearly as long as it could have.
I definitely was never bored or anything. I'm just saying, like, I mean, I could feel the runtime stretching where I was like, damn, I mean, it's just long. And then my final thing is after watching Avatar Fire and Ash, are you excited for a fourth Avatar?
Well, this is the thing. I'm not sure that I am. Um, Part of it is my understanding is James Cameron wants to take a step back from directing.
So it would be a different director, most likely.
So I don't know how that's going to be in terms of and I mean obviously this is Cameron's baby. He's been living in this world for a long time. I don't think he's going to totally give it up, but we look at other Cameron properties, mainly
Terminator.
Terminator, and the absence of James Cameron is completely noted.
Yeah. You
Doesn't
could
feel
tell.
the same. They're not as good of films. The visuals are lazy, and I'm concerned about that.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, James Cameron is very talented and he's a great
Well, say what you will.
storyteller.
Avatar Fire and Ash looks amazing. It looks
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, and it made $1 billion+. Like it did everything it's supposed to do. I think again, it's one of those things where we're getting overly critical because we're like, we know what James Cameron is capable of,
Yeah. I
and
want him
we
to
know
keep
that this is
pushing
not it.
boundaries and keep changing things up and
Hmm.
taking us
Hmm.
new places and doing stuff. I'm like, I feel like we've just been hanging out on Pandora for a long time now and like been there, done that. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, and most movie series, when you think about similar stuff, I mean, they don't really go over a trilogy anyway without some sort of either a new trilogy narratively. You change things up because you're like, it's hard to keep a film series going that long.
yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not I'm not overly excited if it's going to be more of the same. Basically, like I would like to see them sort of stretch their wings here and go try to do new things with this wonderful world they've created. Even if that means to a certain extent, like, do we have to keep following Sully? Like, can you enjoy Pirates of the Caribbean with a different set of characters? It's still pirate movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there what can we do?
And that's kind of the other problem. Like, I mean, and I think that I look at this world now and I'm like, other than just this class of civilizations between the Navi who are living in tune with the planet of Pandora and these terrible humans who are trying to loot it and pollute it, like what are we at story wise that we're trying to explore? Thematically, how does Jake have to grow? Especially since it doesn't even look like Quaritch is gonna be in future films. I mean, he kind of jumped into the like
Yeah.
magnetic black hole thing.
So
Uh,
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm like, I'm not sure where this is going.
And I
Um,
think they've accomplished their goal of like, you know, nature preservation and right man just taking over rainforests and destroying like I think that message has been received.
yeah,
Uh, what are we doing?
right. And I don't know. So I'm curious where they're gonna keep going with this. I really don't know.
And that's part of the problem I think too is like I really don't know either. And I mean I think that's a little bit of a problem. Like what are we doing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like it should naturally lend itself to like, oh my God, dude, we're building towards, the Infinity Stones. Like something should happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But CP, that does it for our discussion, unless you have any final thoughts.
I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm very curious because obviously these movies cost a ton to make, right?
Yeah,
A
like
ton.
$500 million.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, they've also been very successful in the box office, but it's also one of those things that when the trend within Hollywood seems to be, hey, we got to reduce some of these hyperinflated budgets. I don't
Yeah,
know. Is the next Disney CEO going to greenlight the blank check that Avatar 2 and 3 were? I don't know.
yeah, I don't either. Well,
Especially without Cameron attached as the director.
yeah, he's he's pushed the boundaries, and I'm not saying that Fire and Ash doesn't push boundaries. It probably does, but not in ways that we as the viewer see as plainly as we did with Avatar 1.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sure they're still doing things on the back end which are just insane in terms of pushing the capabilities of what you can film and how to bring actors to life and all that. So I don't want to take away at all from the work they've done because I know it's absolutely insane and the budget reflects that. But story-wise, yeah, I think we can take it somewhere different. I don't know.
I agree. I agree.
Well, that does it, CP, for our episode this week. So, to all of our listeners, obviously, thank you guys for tuning in and be sure to continue the conversations as you always do. CP, I got to shout you out here because if you really didn't go to that Home Alone pop up, just admit it.
Dude, what the? No, I went. I will cut together my video.
All right,
I will
well,
post it so you and your Sith friend can rejoice watching the video.
all right. What was it? Only a Sith. Only acid. Classic. All right. Now we'll keep that one going. So I hope for more comments from you. But to see CP's experience at the pop-up, follow along at Film Comp Podcast or at Film Comp Pod on Instagram, where we'll have links to all the new episodes at filmmakerscompass.com, where we have a feed of all previous episodes, as well as the content that CP and I are going to be posting regularly in 2026. So it should be a lot of fun. Keep an eye out. And you can follow me at Big Kid D-Man and CP.
You can follow me at NDCal5. Thank you for hanging out and talking movies with us. We will see you back here next week. Until then, keep watching movies.